Next, it's my great pleasure to introduce the Minister of Finance of Greece, Christos Staikouras.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the invitation to participate in the Economist event. The COVID-19 outbreak has caused a health, social, and economic shock on a global scale. The consequences are multifaceted and great. European economies are shaking. In contrast with the financial crisis a decade ago, Europe has reacted to the coronavirus crisis quickly, collectively, as Mario mentioned before, taking important decisions and activated both fiscal and liquidity boosting measures. Fiscal targets and constraints and restrictions were lifting, giving the governments the necessary flexibility to take measures to tackle the crisis. The framework for state aid and public procurement became more flexible. The ECB has introduced the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, which was boldly strengthened yesterday, and has adopted a package of temporary collateral easing measures. Europe activated a safety net for states, employees, and businesses through the ESM Pandemic Crisis Support, the SURE program to subsidize employment, and the Pan-European Guarantee Fund from the EIB to strengthen business liquidity. Indeed, Europe has found a mix of drugs to relieve pain, but not the coronavirus vaccine. This could be the proposal of the European Commission to create a new recovery instrument, the Next Generation EU. This proposal is sufficiently ambitious, dynamic, and decisive, and at the same time flexible, realistic, and in line with the challenges we are facing. It is rational, fair, and growth-friendly, since it is mainly based on grants rather than loans. It gives every member state the opportunity and the flexibility to draw its national strategy. It includes common borrowing, and it emphasizes on sectors that are important for Europe's future. What is now important is to do our best in order to put aside differences and disputes to reach an agreement concerning the final form of the new instrument, to make funds available the soonest possible, and to make the best use of them in order to reset our economies and become stronger, more productive, and more competitive. In Greece, since the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, the top priority of the government was to protect human life and public health, and then to support households and enterprises in order to tackle the consequences of the crisis. Both goals were achieved, as proved recently by epidemiological data and by the last reports coming up of the European institutions about Greece. The Greek government has adopted a comprehensive, dynamic package of policy measures to support public health, employment, business liquidity, and social cohesion. During the lockdown period, we supported the public healthcare system, and we spread a wide safety net over household enterprises. This included a special compensation for employees, professional and businesses affected by the crisis, tax and social security deferrals, and of course, additional employment benefits. Overall, the government has tackled the burden of the whole economy's functioning, supporting 2 million citizens. In the next phase, during the gradual restart of the economic activity, the government has continued to support households and businesses, while also paying emphasis to boosting business liquidity through national and European instruments and funds. For instance, in this context, more than 51,000 businesses, mostly small and medium-sized, have received a repayable advance payment. In the current phase, the third phase of the crisis, that of the progressive recovery of the economy. Until October, we are acting on three pillars. We continue and we expand employment support measures, including a new short-term mechanism based on the SURE program. We further boost business liquidity, and we implement targeted measures for sectors more severely affected by the crisis, such as tourism, food service, sports activities, culture, air transport, maritime transport, etc. Finally, in the fourth phase, that of the reformation of the economy, the goal is to regain the dynamics it had developed before the health crisis. The more the economy stabilizes and restores, the more opportunities we will have to launch policies with more permanent characteristics so that the country can continue from where it was before the pandemic. We will take advantage of the conclusions from the Recovery Fund, investment in the fields of green economy, digital transformation, extroversion, research and development, which are included in our strategic plan for economic development. In conclusion, the government has designed and is implementing policies to stabilize and restructure the economy following the sudden shock of the pandemic. It builds on the enhanced reliability inside and outside Greece. It invests in the relationship of trust it has built with citizens. It works with a sense of solidarity, distributing the burden of the crisis fairly, taking on itself the greatest part of it. It creates the conditions for confirming the predictions for a strong recovery next year, so that, as soon as possible, to restart the recovery from the point where we left it before the health crisis. Thank you.